Second recording with Toteras on the art of living, you'll hear some of the following themes. I hit it too early. Some personal reflections from Toteras on poets and whining. All of life is the art of living. On myself and my wife and our early life together. Racism and being Greek. Religion and culture and our depersonalized modern world. Along with many, many, many interesting themes.
It's the right time in history, don't you understand what I'm
Yeah, it
telling
sure
you?
is, man. It sure is.
I don't to me right now, I don't give a fuck if I say anything or don't say anything anymore. I really don't. You pass that point, where when in your 20s, your 30s, I hit it at the right time. I just didn't, I was too early with absurdity. And the small group of absurdists that we were encircled with wasn't enough.
Uh-huh.
The world was serious. The world didn't see the lunacy. You know what I mean? The small groups of people saw the lunacy of it, man. But the world didn't. So the world wanted, the Dylan Thomases, these whining cocksuckers. The work's beautiful, but it's full of whining, man.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
I know what you're
From
saying.
an alcoholic that's never experienced anything other than his own misery. That's what you're hearing, you're hearing the whines of the inner soul, man, whining away. Instead of seeing, looking, you know what I mean?
That's right.
Observing, man, that's the power of it all, not the whining all the time. The bleakness, the thisness, that shit. But that's a phase and a period in a person's life. Like most of these poets, had they lived a little bit longer, their tones would have changed. And possibly contradicted their earlier works. It's good that very few artists live a long time, because of the intensity of their lives.
Right.
They either drink too much, dope too much, womanize too much, cry too much. Everything is too much. And it's never in a sense of balance that you do things. You do things out of a sense of balance. But it's this out of sense of balance that gives you a reflection of balance. It's the fact that you're stumbling that makes it possible for you to walk. Every time you take a step, you're off balance, but you land just right, so you look like you're in balance. A ballerina is one human hair off falling, and it's that tension of balance that makes the art, that makes it beautiful. She's standing on her fucking toes, man, ready to go to the left, to the right, ready to fall. But yes, she doesn't, And that tension, the classical Greeks saw that tension, that tension makes art. And that happens only once or a moment in your life, where you're crying, where you don't care, where that's the way it's coming, The grief can't be too big, though. If the grief is too big, the grief overcomes you and you can't say anything. You spend all your life now trying to come out of it, trying to wash yourself like if you had fallen into a tar pool. And it takes a lot of washing to cleanse yourself, to get rid of all that shit. It might take months, Or an odor like a skunk might be difficult to get rid of, you know what I mean? Things that are overpowering stop your ability to correlate. And art is a correlation of things. Let's say now, if art's the correlation of things, and let's say that art itself is life. Life is art. The art of living constitutes all the arts. It's just not the art. He is an artist. All of life. Like knowing people today, even though the world is so filled with people, you could stand on a corner and 1 million people go by you in a day. The value of people has totally diminished. So why should there be any value in the associations that we make with each other? Now look, in your case, your wife, she comes from another culture. A whole different way of looking at things. A whole different way of expecting you to act. When you don't act like that, there's something's wrong. Like I came from a culture that I knew how women were supposed to act. And all of a sudden, the women that I was with didn't act that way, man. Didn't act that way.
Yeah, I understand.
See, like when I first got married, I got married to my own race, to my own people. But even though my wife was from southern Greece and I was from northern Greece, and still she was born here, but from Greek parents, right? From southern Greece, and her mannerisms were different. Her dialect was different. Her foods were different than ours. But we felt a closeness because we were both Greek. Our holidays was the same, and I found her saying we have to go to church, and I was almost an avowed atheist, and that tension created great art in me, man. It wasn't formalized intellectually yet.
The tension of you guys not lining up,
Now watch. This is like Easter would come, and beautiful rituals, right? But I was so overawed by religion when I was young that I thought it would swallow me up alive. I have a tendency to be a monk anyway, So I thought that religion would actually swallow me, like I fell into a pool of crystal clear water, and all of a sudden it engulfed me and took my life over. And that's how religion was going to be now. Religion was going to swallow me, contain me. It was like what they did in the medieval days, that if they wanted to know if you told the truth, they threw you into a well of pure water, and if the water accepted you, you were innocent. In other words, if you drowned, you were innocent. If you didn't drown, you were guilty because the waters repelled you.
And you're going to die anyway.
Well, that's what would happen to me. I would have fallen into these waters that would have drowned me, man. My temperament was the temperament of curiosity. I had to see things. I had to lift and peek behind doors. Like when I was a child, I was a voyeur, man. I stayed up all the time looking. Nobody dared walk in the house because I was awake. Forever awake and vigilant. So I couldn't very well become part of the church thing, and I found myself by the things that we did. We drank the communion, and my cousin pissed in the bottle that had the communion water. And not to expose him, I sat and watched people taking Holy Communion, with urine in it. So that's why I started studying as to urine, water, this and that. I made quite an intense study, man, of it. As to
the correlations between urine and the holy water?
Yeah, right. Well, we were ready to go to hell, man. We committed a blasphemy. And my cousin said he was an atheist already. We were maybe 12 years old. And he was an atheist already. He, no matter what we did, unless, the whole thing was geared like this. The whole thing was geared, your father told you, your family told you what was good, what was right. You could do what your father did upon permission. When your father got to the point, like I didn't smoke in front of my father. I didn't smoke in front of my mother until, my mother, it was just almost to the point when I quit smoking that she said I could smoke in front of her.
Mm-hmm. Jesus.
I never smoked in front of her. I would go out in the back because she didn't tell me to smoke in front of her. It wasn't something that I had a psychological war with my mother, and they told you when it was time that they wanted you to do it in front of them. They know you're doing it behind their back. They just don't want you doing it in front of them. So you want to get disgusted with smelling the smoke.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Because Greek women don't smoke, and the smoke bothers them. Greek men almost all smoke, Right? And the smoke bothers them, and they always run the man out. They tell him, go outside, fucking smoke. Oh yeah, they're very, very bossy in that respect. But anyway, I married a Greek, and I was on that road. So I had passed the point of being an agnostic. I had passed the point of not being sure. I was in that point of my life of being sure, you know what I mean? I started getting intellectual confidence. Right or wrong, it makes no difference. Confidence has nothing to do with truth. It has to do with the ability to believe what it is that you're thinking about. To have more than the cursory examination, you have to be able to say, go fuck yourself.
And not be worried if you're right or wrong.
You have to be able to stand on what you believe on, man. That's important. Without that, you'll always be a liberal. You'll always be a person who sits on the fence. You'll always be the person who's in the fad now. I will always stay prejudiced. I will always be racist. I'm a Greek. I believe in race. That's what Greece is based on. That's what Western thinking is based on. It's based on the Western race. The historians don't find any problem saying Western culture. That's as racist as you can get. Western culture means all white. It means all white. It means being born and bred and nurtured in the classical Greco-Roman period. It means having understanding. Science, methodologies of science are completely racist. They're white, man. They're white. I mean, Aristotle wasn't a black man. Plato wasn't a black man. Heraclitus was not an Oriental. These were Greeks, man. The issue with the Greeks was they asked, during the First World War, it came time to divide the Turkish Empire. So the Greeks wanted some of the land that the Turks had taken. And the Turks had taken part of Thessalonica, and the Greeks wanted it back. So at the peace conference, the Greek prime minister asked the French prime minister, who was dividing the German Empire and the Turkish Empire, he said, we want the land back that's Greek. And the guy asked him, he said, what's Greek? And the guy says, Greek is when you know and when you think that you are Greek. Right? That you're Greek. That you're Greek. You think yourself as Greek, you're Greek. Now you can't think yourself Greek unless you're Greek. There is no, you can think yourself American. You can think of yourself as anything.
Yeah.
But you can't think of yourself as Greek. You can't think of yourself as Chinese. You can't think of yourself as Hindu unless you are these things. You can't think of yourself as a Jew because they're not in a state of becoming. A Jew and a Greek are not in a state of becoming anything. They are, man. They've been around for so long that they are. A Chinaman is not in a state of becoming anything.
Right.
He is a Chinaman.
By virtue of his race.
By virtue of his race being here uninterrupted for so many centuries, you know. Like the Greek language isn't all that changed from the classical. It's changed about the equivalent of what the English language has changed in the last 500 years. That's how much the Greek language of today has changed from the language of the classical times, right? So being for a lot of the intonations that the Greek has today, this wasn't really a conversation concerning Greeks. It was a conversation concerning people from the same area, from the same linguistic stock, have differentiations amongst them. That even though the major parts were the same, like my wife was Greek Orthodox, right, and so was I, our religious festivities on the village level were different.
You observe different observances.
Right, based on classical evolution, classical times, periods of occupation, different experiences. The islands of Greece all had different experiences because a lot of them had been occupied by the Turks, right? And there's over 3,000 islands, man. So a lot of them weren't occupied by anybody. The big islands were occupied by the Turks, like the Turks occupied Crete until the 20th century, you know, until 1912, 1914, the Turks were there. The Cretans are descendants of Minoans. They're not Greek. They speak Greek. They're fierce, man. You never want to cross a Cretan. Hitler sent his only airborne division of highly crack troops, and the Cretans destroyed them, man. Yeah.
Really?
They're fierce, man. Absolutely never insult one, man. They'd kill you. To this day, they're like that. Why? Because of the long Turkish occupation. They were occupied by the Turk for so long that their virtues, their morals, their call it whatever, has been honed to a knife blade, you know. Zorba is a northern Greek who came to Crete Did you see the film Zorba?
Mm-hmm.
Or read the book?
Mm-hmm.
He's a northern Greek. He's a Macedonian Greek. He's a Greek that came to southern Greece, to Crete. Crete's not southern or northern, it's Crete. And he came to that island with that guy who was a school teacher, right, to develop this mind. And what you're looking at in Kazantzakis' head, what you're looking at is northern Greek getting involved with Cretan Greek. Their thoughts were different. You could see it. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Zorba had more of a cosmopolitan, a forgiving view.
Yeah, he was more of a generous man, wasn't he?
He was more classical. He was more of a classical man. He was Greek. He didn't have the pastel around him that the Cretans have of being Turks. A Cretan hear that, he'd kill me, you know. But their dress, their everything. See, the Cretans say that we were bought out by the Venetians, the Corfuots. But yet, the Venetian was more to our temperament, the Corfuot temperament. And maybe the Turkish cruelty was more to the temperament of the Cretan, you know? Maybe the occupier and the occupied were more relatives than we suspect, you know, historically. Right? But the point that I'm raising again, and I don't want to lose, is the point that my wife was Southern Greek, and I was Northern Greek. But we had in common religion. We had in common certain values.
Right.
We had in common mores that were on a higher universal plane.
Common to all Greeks.
Common to all Greeks. Yeah, there was differences common to all Greek areas. Right? Like certain idiomatic expressions of certain areas we find offensive, you know. Corfuots. Corfuots don't ask you directly questions, they draw the question out of you. Where other parts of Greece, they very direct the question. The question is very important to Greek thinking. And the question,
and how it's presented.
The answer, we know that it all depends what suit you're wearing. That's the answers you're going to give us, you know. Right? If you're wearing a collar of a priest, the answers you give us are going to be all celestial, heavenly, and give me the buck, you know.
Yeah.
They will all lead to his pocket. That's what the Greeks say. And, you know, all the sermons of the priests lead into their coffers. That's because we have a culture that came before Christianity. And that was something that Socrates said in the Apology almost.
So you saw that thing, that religious thing at its inception. Saw how it was
the
put
Greek
together.
mind did.
Yeah.
The Greek mind. The Greek culture has changed, you know. But the Greek mind still stays alive within its folk myth, within its myths, within its language, within the secret parts of its language, within the, you know, like in classical time, the word ew meant, oh wow, you know. In modern Greek, you can hear them as tora, ipo, or, you know, some sound that goes like that. And it's that sound, you know, that feeling of, ooh. When a Greek says, now, in classical time it was ew, in modern time it's ooh. Now you say, this is ridiculous, but no. Because if you're standing at a dock and the boat left, and you come up and ask the guy, did the boat leave that I wanted to get? And the guy will tell you, ooh, Dora, wow, now? That's what it means in literal translation. But Dora becomes past tense. Now becomes past tense. Now, the word now, Dora, becomes past tense with the sound of exclamation to it of, wow, now? So we find that in English in the point of, wow, now you tell me?
Right.
Now you tell me? Now the guy says Torah, and the guy, and foreigners will mistake that and think Torah means now it's going to leave, and they'll wait. where the Greek actually meant it left a long time ago.
Right, and now you're coming to me now.
Yeah, you're
I
coming to
see.
me now.
I see.
But this is something taken from the classical times, where the paradox existed at the moment. The classical Greek wasn't scared of a paradox existing at the moment. The modern scientific mind has seen that the paradox exists at the very moment that you're making a, how should we call it, a stationary thought, a thought that exists. See, the great promise made by rationality was that they would give you a way that you could get rid of all contradictions from whatever and live on the right road, on the road to eudaimonia, on the road to happiness, right? The road to ballet with Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. Yeah. that's who, right? But you see, like, if we take a comparison of all this that I've been saying, even though I mean to oversimplify it, you bring it to here where the things that your wife does or sees you do, you don't know whether it's negative or positive in her eyesight.
Because I'm actually dealing with different races of people.
You're dealing with, you're dealing with
Yeah.
the white race. You're dealing with a different white culture,
Okay.
you know?
Right.
A different white culture who has a major culture in Europe, Portuguese, and Italian, and Portuguese, all the prohibitums are in Portuguese, right? Through Portuguese thought, mysticism, metaphysical areas of Portuguese attitude, right? It's all that is in her iu, her tora, you know, all that is within these exclamations that you might find totally paradoxical if you listen to them or talk about them. But in the cultural framework, they're perfectly understood. And it's a way of diffusing problems that take place, that I see take place here in the United States. I see problems taking place here. There's no way in the world they can communicate.
Yeah, because we can't say certain words or phrases or intone certain things now because we'll be labeled racist or bigoted or we'll get sued by someone.
If your conclusion is drawn by differences, you could be considered, if your conclusion is drawn by differences, you can be considered to be sexist, racist, or what have you not. Because you're raising, for your conclusion, the differences that makes this possible. A racist is somebody who feels what? That he uses race as what? An excuse for...
the separations of the classes of people,
you know,
groups
it's
of people.
Drawing some conclusion based on race. Like I was to say, all black people are lazy, or all Orientals are mischievous, or
Right.
all Europeans are, you know, cruel. You know, what I've done is I've raised a generality, like some are and some aren't. But this is the obvious part, like generalities. What we're talking about now is racism, baiting by race. But now I see that the Jews, and I should say the Israelis are now running off any Arab who's working in Jewish shops. 15% of the employed people in Israel are Palestinians, Arabs. And they're legal workers. And there's probably another 15% illegal Palestinian workers who work for very low wages in Israeli shops, right? So now what's happening now is there's a movement afoot to get rid of all Palestinians or Arabs out of the workforce, the Israeli workforce. And gangs are roaming the streets with sticks and clubs.
Wow.
And running the Arabs out of their workshops, and now shops are saying, no Arabs employed here. That's exactly what was going on in Germany when the Germans were putting up signs,
That's right.
no Jews employed here.
Nazi Germany, it's all...
That's right, man. So you see, the
What a
point is not that the
paradox,
Israelis are becoming Nazis. The point is, like, when a culture tries to survive, when the Jews consider themselves a culture, it's not just a nation.
Right.
It's a culture.
It's a culture.
Oh, absolutely. It's a
Yeah.
culture that's very old, like the Greek
And
culture.
spread out all over the world too.
A culture is not going to die off like that, you know. But then you have also the Arab culture, which is probably just as old. You know, there are cousins there. But my intent was not to raise considerations concerning Israeli. My intent is to show that a culture is alive, strong. It does a lot of things that itself has accused others of doing.
Uh-huh. I see what you're saying.
Because the culture is so strong, it feels that sense that it will do anything to survive. I'm sure if these Jews were taken, these Israelis were taken into lesser pressurized areas of existence, it worked perfectly with everybody. But they're living under some tremendous pressure of existence.
Amazing conditions over there.
Oh yeah. So they're going to do things that are abnormal. Now the point that I'm raising here is, like the viciousness that takes place in the separation of man and woman here is absolutely, it falls into the hands of the impersonal law. And the outcome is a total destruction of these people. Like, I don't see this anywhere in the world. When a divorce takes place in Greece, they, hey man, you know, like the families might not talk to each other anymore. The families might separate, you know, and, you know, really not talk to each other anymore. Because they're, you know, something has been broken between them that only brought them together through this marriage.
I see.
So when the marriage is dissolved, chances are everybody that knows each other from the two families won't speak to each other anymore. Right, so it's an absolute divorce, but in some of the Greek areas, the dowry goes back. The dowry that was given goes back. In some areas, the dowry is kept. I mean, everything is understood. There is no differing, this is mine, this is yours.
Right.
You know, everybody knows
It's all
what's
spelled
what.
out beforehand.
So when something dissolves like that, it just goes like playing the reel backwards. It goes whoop, and it's done. But in a situation like this, where there is no tradition as to how things separate, not only in old cultures is the tradition of how things come together,
How they separate.
but also how they come apart. Because you see, coming apart is the exact opposite of bringing together. So if you were to play a part of decay, what takes place in decay is exactly the opposite of what took place in creation.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But since we have no understanding of how these things come together or fall apart, things are just left to go their own way.
That's right.
It's all mishmash.
But see, like with my wife, I had a very, like she'd say, like I was saying, she'd say, we're going to church, you know, we got to go to church. And she'd say, my mother will be there, my father will be there, my grandfather will be there, and I'll be there by myself, right? So I said, yeah, okay. So she drugged me off, right? She broke with her religion. She was, you know, she was more involved with religion than I was. And she severed it on that level, on total commitment level, but she didn't sever it in her totally spiritual world, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But because I was from that religious group, I found no offense in her believing as strongly as she wanted, as long as it did not interfere with me and her. Before religion interfered between me and her, and I threatened to burn the monastery down in Gary, New York. I said, we'll all become famous because I'm going to burn the fucking place down. Yeah. Oh yeah, man, I stayed out there 3-4 days. It was fucking wintertime. I said, you fucking come out here, man.
You're yelling for your woman?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I threatened to burn the place down. They said I was fucking nuts. I wasn't crazy. I wanted her.
You were passionate for your love.
Yeah, I wanted her. And she wanted me because she would have stayed in there and let me burn the place down. But she came out. Right? What happened was how it is, she didn't come out. It wasn't like a movie, you know. I went in there and talked to the Mother Superior and all that. And the Mother Superior told me that, you know, like my conduct this night. So I didn't come here to examine my conduct. I said I came here to get her as my wife, you know. And the Mother Superior was sharp. You know, she saw a romantic in front of her.
Mm.
Oh yeah, and she figured that if Annie had the same kind of attitudes toward me, that it would be better that, because she was a novitiate, you know, it would be better if she looked at it, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's what you're saying.
I mean, it wasn't that I went there and I screamed outside with a torch in my they, so what happened was, after that, and she gave me her word, the Mother Superior gave me her holy word, that she would air this whole thing out, and whatever the decision was, that I would abide by. I conceded to that, man. And I came back out here. And no, I went to Montreal, and I got a ship out of Montreal to Lagos, Nigeria. And I shipped out as a seaman on a Greek ship.
To
There's a lot of
Lagos,
ships you can ship out on.
Wow, you just lived in Lagos, Nigeria.
Yeah, Lagos and the African coast. Then I went to South America, and then went to Galveston, and then back again. By then the year was over with, you know. Right? And then I came back here, and then I went back to New York because Annie had written me a letter, and she told me, you know, she decided that she can leave. So I was, you know, it worked out, right? But now, the point that I'm still raising is that why I did raise that is because she was very religious. And she wanted to devote her world into a metaphysical world. She was very religious. She didn't choose Hinduism or these things outside of her culture. It was her own culture that she moved into this metaphysical world. She went to a place where her education was in Greek. They were studying classical Greek in there. I mean, when me and her converse sometimes we talked in classical. You know? There were some expressions that we both knew were stronger in the classical period than they were in the modern period.
Beautiful.
Yes, it was. Because we had both similar educations, we had similar proclivities, we had similar language, we had similar cliches, we had similar values. I would never think of running out on her. I would never think of going to fuck a foreigner. I was a racist. I only fucked my own. Right? Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't want other people's women. I didn't want Irish women or Polish women or these women or that women. I wanted my woman. What I did, if I found to do within my group of people, that doesn't mean that I'm moral. It meant that I had put in so much effort to what I wanted that I just couldn't cast it out and say, I got it, now what, you know? I mean, to me, I saw it as a sacrifice that she did for me. She sacrificed a world of security for a world of insecurity, and the only thing that she did was the confidence that she had in me as to how much I loved her. Right?
Right.
But we could communicate that, and as far as I could communicate it at that age, I could communicate it. But I had my culture to back me up. If you don't have your culture, what chance do you have? What chance do you have of getting together with somebody if that somebody sees what you're doing and can't explain it? I mean, you look at things the way, like I found the American way extremely crude, man. Crude, really crude. I found the way they talk to each other as crude. I found the way boys talk to their parents, or the way they address their mother and all that, is extremely crude. Something that we would be censured for, you know. Something you wouldn't do. It's like swearing at your parent.
Yeah.
Raising your hand against your parent. uh, all these things, you see, all
Yes.
given
Yes.
to you culturally.
Yeah, but now, I mean, that's the common cry from all the kids is, in fact, that little Bart Simpson character is the one that's leading the cry, off my back, out of my face, to the parents, right? No, off
That's
my back
awful.
or I'll kick your ass, this kind of stuff.
That's fucking awful,
I
man.
hate my dad. You know?
Really, huh?
Oh, this kind of shit, that's horrible.
Wow.
Oh, it's the most popular show on television.
It's expressing the views of the, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's a sounding board for what society feels.
Yeah. Well, this is, you see, this is the problem. You have to develop some way that will bridge that which you don't have. I mean, you don't have a cultural background here. I mean, various cultures marry each other, and of course they have to neutralize and diffuse their cultures. I mean, let's say, for instance, I married a non-Greek. She's, let's say, Protestant, very devout Protestant. Let's say that I was a devout Greek Orthodox. What the hell do I do now?
Mm.
I have kids, and my family sees that I don't. My family might not go to that church.
Mm-hmm.
The Greek Orthodox, number one, the word Catholic is a Greek word. Before the two churches split, they were all one, universal. Catholico, meaning universal. And then they had a schism in the 11th century. They come apart. The eastern part stayed there with the Byzantium Empire, became semi-oriental. The Greek Orthodox Church influenced the Russians became Orthodox.
Oh, okay.
And then the Catholic Church was now by Rome. So you have the Eastern Church that's in Constantinople and the Western Church that's in Rome, which of course the Crusades was part of that thing to destroy the Eastern Church, you know. So they went there on a crusade. You know what they pillaged? St. Sophia, the cathedral of Christendom in the East, you know.
Oh, be damned.
St. Sophia, you go to the St. Mark Cathedral in Venice and you see the two lions out there were ripped off from St. Sophia. Most of the stuff inside St. Mark's came from St. Sophia.
So really, they were just coming over to kick a little ass and along the way take as much booty as they wanted.
Oh yeah,
good.
but sure, that's the biggest battle they conducted, you know. So anyway, you see, religion in one order plays a big because it's certain Catholic countries. All their festivities are around the saints' days. Right? Like with Greeks, we don't celebrate our birthdays, we celebrate our names days in Christian times, right? So like my name is Demetrius, and my holiday is the 26th of October, St. Demetrius' Day. And all of Greece celebrates it. And all those who know I'm Demetrius come by and have a drink with me, right? To celebrate my name. And there's parades, and there's religious parades, and there's military parades, and St. Demetrius is icon, he's on a horse, right, with a big spear. He's a warrior saint, right? And I mean, it's a whole fucking thing, man. It's a whole world.
Yes, right.
Nobody is forgotten. Everybody is on their name's day is remembered, right? Nobody is forgotten. Over here, everybody's forgotten.
Everybody's forgotten.
Keep in touch, they say. And if you don't keep in touch, that means, man, don't call me up. Keep in touch. Don't come by. Keep in touch. How do I keep in touch?
Wow, that's it. That's it.
Call at a certain time when I'm not looking. Will you excuse me now? They'll say I'm looking at TV. Or would you call me back later? I'm having dinner. Or can I catch you later to somebody here? You know what I mean? Okay, fine, I'll call you some other time, you know? Right?
Everybody uses that technique. Oh, there's somebody at the door, excuse me.
Yeah, or the button. Oh, I got a phone call. Call forwarding. Right.
Yeah.
You're living in a fucking such a depersonalized fucking world that it's
We're not communicating with each other.
how you gonna communicate? How you fucking gonna communicate? Communicate on what level?
Yeah, right.
Where? Communicate on what?
Communicate what?
Like my wife wasn't telling me my beliefs were wrong. She didn't argue my beliefs. She said, my father will be there, my grandfather will be there, my mother will be there, my family is there, your family's there. Where are you at? What are you? Yes, she didn't say, what are you? That was left for me.
Yeah, right.
Who am I? If everybody's there, who the fuck am I? How come I'm not there? Where am I at?
Mm-hmm.
Am I a soldier that's away? Am I some honorable fucking thing that can give a reason? I'm in the hospital. I'm in something, and everybody says he's in the hospital, you know. Oh, you know. Where is he? He's in the hospital. But where is he? I don't know. What do you mean I don't know?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
What do you mean I don't know? Right? Well, here it's not as strong because, you know, you still got, you know, there's the United States here, so the Greek community here isn't all that. It is, but it isn't. But in the old country, shit, everybody knows what you're doing. Everybody's got their nose right through your window. No locks on the doors. Everybody's peeking in. How you doing? The community stays together. Gossip is a way of controlling the community, you know. If it wasn't for people being afraid of being gossiped and being accused and pointed at, people would do exactly what they wanted to do. But we're reined in for the good of all of us. We have to give up a certain amount of things for the good of all of us.
Right. No one's out screwing the whole world because it'll be talked about and discovered and exposed.
It's not good to screw the whole world. It's not good to screw anybody. It's not good to screw anybody because somebody's going to find out and talk about it. This guy Milken, he cried, he did every fucking thing. You know, the letters from his lawyers. His lawyers wrote that. This man says dispassionate. If I steal from you and then ask for forgiveness after I stole from you, where was I at? You mean the theft made me wise? The theft made me wise, or being caught made me wise?
Yeah,
well, what part was it? The theft didn't make me wise. I tried to get away with it.
Yeah,
I got caught.
And would have, but I got caught.
I got caught. Now that made me wise? Where was my wisdom before? Why did I need this to make me wise? Didn't my wisdom say, don't do that because that was obvious? What would happen if I get caught? That was an obvious question. That's an obvious question. Mm-hmm. What happened? You mean you couldn't ask the most obvious question? What would happen if you got caught? What would happen if you bullshit and you got caught and lost your face? You lost your morphine.
Jesus. And yet nobody here can do that.
You lost your morphine. One of the elements of the idea itself, right?
You lost your face.
You lost your face, yeah. So again, when they say you got to save face, you got to save your morphine. Yeah, very important thing. It's just not some abstract goddamn thing, you know. I mean, how do I fit in now amongst my friends? Let's say amongst my friends over here, I fancy to fuck that guy's wife. And I put my hand on her and all that kind of shit, and she went and told her husband. The guy comes around and said, you fucking hypocrite. Then I say, do as I say, don't do as I do. You know? That's what the priests tell you.
Right.
Oh yeah, do as I say, don't do as I do. Don't use me as an example, I'm a man. You know, use as an example Jesus Christ, who was the Son of God, was not a man. Because Kazantzakis saw him as a man, right? This is what one of the big problems was with his film.
Oh, right.
He saw Christ as a man.
Right, in the Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah. Instead as the Son of God, who had no earthly emotions. If he didn't have love, he didn't have any sexual love, right? Christ didn't have any sexual love. He had only non-sexual love.
Mm-hmm.
But what would it have been like if he had sexual love? He fell in love with a woman, you know. It's good to fall in love with something that there's a possibility of staying with or being with, you know. As opposed to falling in love with something that you know it's temporary.